Lost my mind, now I'm feeling so fine, cause I finally realized I don't need you. I'm feeling sublime, and you're watching me shine, and you realize it's time I don't need you. Now
Hey, this is Brooke,
Hey, this is Imani.
and welcome to another episode of Resources in the Valley.
Where you get your tools to make the most out of every day.
Hey, Imani, how is it going? How was your week? How did it start? How's it going? What's new?
I still feel full from Thanksgiving and but it's been really good. I've really taken our last couple episodes to heart and been applying some things. So it's been feeling very productive even in the midst of our busy, crazy holiday season. What about you, Brooke? How's your week going?
Everything is going great. It has definitely been a whirlwind. I guess after the holidays, I've never realized this before, but everything is just like bam. Like you just have a lot to do, a lot to finish, a lot to complete. So it's been very busy, but very good and productive. And just like literally running at 1,000 miles per hour if possible. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to be able to, and just grateful for to end this year strong. So our topic this week, well, first last week, our topic was the pretty little picture frame. We talked about the way you start your day off by affirming and reminding yourself who you are, and starting the day recalibrated instead of like scrolling on social media with like negative distractions or comparison, and just getting your mind right. Did you want to give us any more feedback on last week's topic before we go into this week's topic?
Just that I hope that you've been able to start your day and change the way that you start your day with our last call to action of affirming and reminding yourself who you are, because I've been trying it like I said and it has made a world of difference for me. It's crazy that some of the biggest things in our life can happen from just small changes. So I'm just excited about what we're going to discuss today because we're diving much deeper into it.
So yes, that's very good to hear. And yes, little tweaks can just clear your mind and make your day more smoother and just, you know, kind of flow things out. And I just believe that, if you once again conquer the battle in your mind, then you can move forward smoothly. Well, this week's topic is the performance. And pretty much we're diving deeper into the pretty little picture frame. When you're trying to fit into this frame, or you're trying to show, give off this frame as a representation of you, and not your true self as a representation of you, sometimes you get into performance mode. And if you're not careful, you can catch yourself performing in ways that are not of you, in ways that, don't truly represent who you are, but just might satisfy the moment. And sometimes satisfying the moment is not what you want to do. Actually, a lot of times, truthfully, satisfying the moment is not what you want to do. Now, we have in our community, we have the turn the black on, turn the black off thing. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about putting on a performance or doing things that are not in your character to please others. What's your take, Imani?
Absolutely. I think that this also happens when we don't feel good enough, and we talked last time about comparison, so I won't dive into there. But what can happen is, I've experienced this with work, where you don't feel like what you're doing is good enough, or you like the praise that somebody else gets for, say, the same task. So you could begin to emulate their behavior, or their actions, or try to do um, a little professional flattery, if you will, to try to gain the same outcome. And one thing that we talk often about is that if you are not authentic to who you are and to the way that you do things, it's not sustainable over the long haul. You can't forever be somebody else, because, we are always changing. How could you possibly figure out how to consistently replicate what someone else is doing? You don't have their same background. You don't have their same motivation. Like, there's a whole string of things that contribute to what people do and why. So I think it's just very important to, like she said, be yourself. And then also we can go into performance mode when we neglect our mental health. So I constantly have conversations with people running on 2 hours of sleep, and it's like, well, let me just go through the motions. Let me just go through the motions. It's like, if you continue on that same path, where do you think it's going to lead? Sometimes we think, if I just push through this quarter or push through whatever it is, that it'll be worth it. But we have to remember, you're a human, not a machine. So and machines even need to be turned off. What machine do you know is just on all the time? But we're human. So I think it's just really great to have that reminder in our busy, crazy world, to take a minute and make sure that we're refilled before we move forward. All right.
I definitely agree, and I like a lot of the things that you said. One of the great examples, and I always use social media as an example, are the trends on social media. And I'm not even talking about reels per se. I'm talking about like the dance trends, or the this trend, or the that trend, or the eating. What was the eating thing? Watching people eat food, like all of these different things that people started doing just for views, or just for follows, or just for likes. And the thing is, your likes and your views will come, and in my opinion, you really want likes or views that like your true content, or the true content that you're trying to present. You don't want likes or views just because you went breakdancing down the road and everybody wanted to watch you breakdance down the road, if that's not what you do. And don't get me wrong, I've definitely seen some things work, to create the views or to create the popularity, but it doesn't always sustain the popularity. And to me, if you really want to sustain your popularity or your following, then you're still going to be true to the content that you're trying to put forward. Have you ever caught yourself performing? And what were you doing? And did you change or continue?
I don't think I've ever. I think most of the time I see the opportunity to perform. I'm very much like a diehard, I am who I am, I'm going to bring this where I go type person. But I was surprised when we started putting a name to things, like, oh, well, you're not being yourself and you're being authentic, that's performing. I was surprised how often the opportunity comes up, where I think sometimes we think of performance, or like we call them two-faced people, we call people who gossip, people who, the backstab. Like, we have a whole list of names, but I think you tend to think of performing as, like, that's who the person is and how they show up every day. And we all know those people who are like, people you don't want to talk to or open up to, because they're going to spill all your business out to the street, or people who are not real with you or honest. Like, we kind of know people who have that character as a whole. But like I said, there are opportunities to perform that we actually have to actively decline. And I think that really surprised me. whether it's at work, whether it's in life, whether it's in parenting, where it's like, well, this seems to be working for this family, so let me try it at home, and my kids looking at me like, did she just, and like kids, it's crazy as young as they are, they know when you're not being you, and when you're trying to be whoever else. So to answer your question, I haven't necessarily caught myself performing, but I have been caught off guard by how many opportunities and how many things are out there that it's tempting. If someone gets promoted, you want to do what they did, to try to get that. But it's like, I don't want to be promoted into a role for exuding a certain persona that's not who I am, because that's just exhausting. And then I'm not promoted for who I am authentically. So, and that's sad. That's a disservice. I was given all the things that make me me for a reason. So I want that to be what people see and admire, not, oh, she's copying Brooke and we love Brooke, so I guess we love her too. Like, yo, that's part of the reason why there's both of us on this podcast. It's like, Brooke's amazing by herself. She doesn't need anything added to be brilliant. But there's different perspectives, and they complement each other. What about you, Brooke?
Well, one of the examples that come to mind, I haven't caught myself performing lately. As I think back, though, like going through college, going through high school, things like that, things that we're peer pressured into doing. I remember one time we were at the mall stealing. And and I was with some friends, and I'm trying to get them to stop, because I'm like, yo, they're watching us. This is not what we should be doing. And I was being my honest Brooke, at the moment. Now, there might have been days prior to this when I was right with the crowd, like, let's go. But this particular day, I wasn't down for the cause. Because I'm like, we gonna get in trouble. And I think I actually had a job in the mall at this point. And I'm also like, I'm not losing my job for y'all. You know what I mean? So, trying to stop my friends from doing what they were doing. Long story short, definitely got caught. They definitely got caught. I didn't get caught because I didn't have nothing in my bag. But, like, the things that we do to fit in the group, you know what I mean? And it's sad. It really is sad. One of Freud's theories is conforming to the group. How you change yourself to fit in instead of stand out. And the thing is as humans, we are all unique. We are all unique in our own way. And we should always stand out. We should always stand out. We should always not blend in. Because I'm not you, you're not me. The same way you said this podcast, we complement each other. We might agree, or we might agree to disagree, or we might see things, or I might understand where Imani's coming from. Imani loves social media for different things. I'm not a big fan, but we can still understand from two different perspectives. And we can still love each other and have a great friendship with that in mind, and respect that you are you and I am me. And I believe breaking out of that performance is growth and maturity, and also, loving who you are. Loving who you are at all times.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one thing we talk a lot about as well is that we try to outperform our issues. So if you feel fatigued, or if you feel uneasy, another big thing is grief. Oh my goodness. Like, as natural as it is, grief has to be unnatural. Just the all the things that it takes to go to work show up in life, you know. It's just a lot. So we can try to outperform things that we're facing and just you just brush it off, brush it off, brush it off. But I can tell you from experience, I've been an outperformer, and I was crying in a rack of clothes. So it's just like, you know, emotions will strong arm you, you know? Like, you think you're getting away with it, you think you're fine, and your body, it's a protective thing, and I thank God for it, but your body will break you down, you know, before you decide to take a rest, or before you decide to deal with emotions. Your body will break you down because it already knows that it can't function. It's waiting for you and our ego and everything else to catch up. So, all right. Would you feel like it's easy or difficult to spot in our own lives? Also, is there ever a good reason to perform?
I mean, I agree with the whole like grief and emotions. So when I was homeless, I told you I tried to stop business. I tried to stop doing people's taxes. I realized 2019 was a very rocky year. It wasn't 2019, it was 2020 in the beginning. It was a very rocky year. Like, I'm even finding 2 years later that I missed the things. Like, trying to do people's taxes, I like missed the ball. Like, I can't tell you, and I've received several emails this year for people looking for 2019 stuff. And I'm like, I didn't send that to you. And I sent them either the wrong thing or whatever. And, you know, I was going through a lot. I had just got to the point in 2020 where I was like, I'm not even going to hide it anymore. Like, I'm just going to tell you what it is. I'm going to help you to my best effort. But right now, I am not doing well. I am trying to pull myself together. I'm trying to pull myself up every day, mentally, physically, spiritually. Like, I am trying to hold myself together. And I just gotten to the point where I had to be transparent with it. But there were many times where I was not transparent with it. And I was performing. I was performing to hide what was really going on, to hide what was really bothering me, and to hide, you know, the true strenuous days that I was having. I don't believe that there is a time for us to perform. Like, I don't believe that there's a time that we should perform. I do believe that we should be aware of it, and when we do become aware of it, I believe that we need to question ourselves. You know, why am I doing that? Why am I trying to present not me? Or why am I trying to tweak who I am? Or why am I trying to dumb down who I am? Like, who am I doing that for? How is Brooke benefiting from that? And a lot of times you're not benefiting from that. So that's why we decided to discuss performance today, because I believe that it's something that we all need to be aware of. Number one, and when we do become aware of it, then we can, you know, be cognizant of our mental health, or be cognizant of things that are going on in our mind that are affecting our daily routine or our daily regimen. And if we don't become cognizant of those type of things, then they can take over.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being transparent as well, because I think it's easy to just share life lessons, you know? It's like, you can do it too, aka online, but like, they don't tell you where they got that life lesson from. We want to know the origin story. So like, how did you learn not to steal? What were you doing? So yeah, let's talk about our phenomenal woman of the week. I I've heard of music, but I am not like an avid fan like some people might be. However, it's none other than Cardi B. Woohoo! um, yes, Brooke, do you want to chime in about her?
So I'll talk about Cardi. Not a big Love and Hip Hop fan, but I used to more glance at it more than I do now. I don't watch it at all now. However, when she started coming through like with the music and stuff like that, and I realized this rapper, who is she, where's she from, things like that. And once I start to hear your music, and I'm like, everybody loves her music. Who is she? Where's she come from? So I realized that she came from Love and Hip Hop New York, and she pretty much made her way through to the top. She was determined to get where she is today, and she's a rapper. She does talk a little naughty, but this is the reason why I chose her. First of all, I want to shine a light, first of all, on how hard she worked to get where she is today. That's number one. Number two, I also wanted to shine a light on charitable things that she's done. She gave $100,000 to her middle school and $1 million to coronavirus relief. Cardi B is Cardi all the time. I'm not going to try to even say her name. It's Belkis, da-da-da-da-da-da. We're not even going to go there. However, but one thing I will say about her is she's true to herself. She's always going to be who she is, and in every way that she gives herself a platform. Okay, so she always presents herself in the same fashion. Whether it's live online or whether it's on the stage or whether it's at a talk show or whatever that she's doing. And that is one thing that I appreciate about her. However, she has a song called WAP. And I hope everybody knows what that means. I'm not even going to go there. Just look it up. WAP. It's an acronym. This is a kid's show. However, this song is a little raunchy, okay? And there are a lot of young girls that sing this song. And I'm not talking about grown women, because if you're a grown woman, you could talk about your WAP all you want to, okay? But as a child or a teenager, you might not want your daughter talking about that. Or you might be like, how do you know? Or what do you know about this? And when this song was like hot, it still is kind of hot, but when it like first came out, there was a video or something that came out with Cardi like, you are not going to play that in front of my daughter. Now, that to me was first of all a testimony of who she is and the standards that she has, even though she makes the music that she makes, okay? And this is a prime example of performance, okay? Even though she made that song, because record albums, I'm sure her recording company loved it and they knew it was going to be a hit and all this stuff, she said, my daughter ain't listening to that. My daughter ain't going to be saying that or none of that. Because at the end of the day, I have a standard for my child. And to me, that matters. Even with her being very transparent and being true to herself and, being a little hood and stuff like that, she still has a standard for her children, for her family life. And no, I'm not going to allow you to listen to music of that nature. And I don't believe that she should have. I would have not let my child. Trust, I've heard my nieces that are in their teenage years, and I'm like, I mean, don't get me wrong. We sung some stuff that I realize now that I should not have been singing in front of my mama. Okay? But I was looking at my nieces like, or if I was in the car and I wanted to be jamming to the song, I couldn't jam with my nieces in the car because I'm like, we ain't jamming to this song together. Like, this is too much. Like, you shouldn't even know what this song is in reference about. You know, so I just believe that, like, we need to be cognizant of things. We need to be cognizant of the things that we allow our ears to hear, the things that we allow our children's ears to hear. And Cardi B is our phenomenal woman of the week because, number one, she's a great rapper. She's a great woman. She's a great mom. And I like that she's true to herself, okay? But I'm also recognizing her for putting her foot down on her standard and staying true to who she is no matter what. Okay, and my child is not going to be a part of that. You want to give us any feedback, Imani?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that because it actually comes up a lot in the music industry, and I think one of my favorite instances. This is not related to her, but someone also in the same industry is T-Pain posted on Twitter once, oh, I've been up all night laughing at cat videos with my wife. And the threads that followed that one tweet were hilarious because everyone was like, wait a minute, so you weren't in love with the bartender? You weren't buying a drink? Like, they were using all his song titles. Like, wait. Wait a minute. And it was too funny. But he was like, oh, no, we've been married 9 years. Like, so it just sheds light on what you're saying. Like, that music is for y'all. Like, dance to it. You can go live it out if you want to. I'm going to be here watching cat videos with my wife. So another reason why you don't want to perform or emulate other people, you don't even know if they're doing what they say they're doing or what they seem like they're doing. So I do really love that you mentioned that because that is so true. So true. All right, so let's jump into the effects of performing and how you deal with it. I know that some telltale signs or some clues that you might be performing and not living authentically, as I mentioned earlier, really could be exhaustion. It's exhausting in every way, trying to do more than you have the capacity to do. But another thing is lack of creativity. It happens in I'm a Hallmark girl. I'm a rom-com, romantic comedy. I love those things. The reason I'm mentioning it is because there's a movie like every Christmas season and every summer that comes out where it happens. Somebody steals somebody's fashion design, parades it as their own. Of course, they get the praise, the magazine feature, and then the company that paid them said, well, make another one. Make another dress. And they're like, what you mean another one? You know? But I think that that's exactly what happens. It's like if it's not you, then the progress stops at the last person that you copied, or it stops at the last type of behavior that you copied, and it's exhausting. I want to be a Pinterest mom personally. Am I that? No. But I think it's about, highlighting the areas that you are passionate about. What can you do continually? What kind of life can you build around who you really are so that you're not running around crazy with the stove on fire because you thought you were going to make Christmas tree cookies from scratch? Like, buy them from the store. That's who you are, But what's your take on the effects of performance and how you deal with it?
I definitely agree. I like the fact that you said you run out of creativity. Because your ideas are not your own, yes, you're going to run out of creativity. You are not going to come up with new things because you're too busy copying new things. So that's why you want to be true to yourself. You always want to be who you are. and present who you are. Because if you're always presenting you, then you can never run out of presenting you. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about was, has performance ever benefited you? And usually, if it has benefited you, are the effects long term or short term? And honestly, from my experience, they've been short term. You get a moment of, hey, oh, we love what Brooke did, but it's not long term because what Brooke did is not Brooke. So it's not something that somebody can hold on to and grasp, because you're not in performance mode all the time. Like, there are times that you're going to be true to you. So if I went dancing or I went doing the tap dance for, 15 minutes and everybody loved it, if I'm not somebody that tap dances or that's not what I do, then it's not going to be a long-term success or a long-term benefit. And then once again, are we looking for short-term or long-term benefits in our life? I personally am looking for long-term benefits, not short-term benefits, because short-term benefits don't last. Just like one of my favorite things to say is easy. Nothing good comes out of easy, or nothing long-term comes out of easy. So if we're looking for the quick, easy thing to do, then we're going to get a quick, easy response, or we're going to get a quick, easy reaction, but we're not going to get that long-term reaction where people love you and they always love you because they know who you are and this is what you always bring to the table. Also, what is the opposite of performing? Like, how do you bring your true self to the table all the time? So not only the effects, but what can we do to always bring our true selves to the table? One of my things is always being me. I run an accounting company. Did my parents teach me customer service in my accounting company? No. Okay. However, my first 2 to 3 jobs were all customer service or customer service based. So when I started really digging into the accounting company and really doing that as one of my true full-time gigs, now I'm still bringing my customer service to the table, because I've adapted this customer service. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. I love to give people fabulous customer service. So now in my customer service is actually caring about my client or caring about my sale. It was a point at one time, it was caring about my sale, and that client was a sale when I was in retail. But now this client is a relationship that continues on year after year. And if I am caring about this relationship and nurturing this relationship, then they always come back no matter what. What do you believe about that, Imani?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, and I love the mentality switch from customer service used to mean closing a sale, but now it means this. So we constantly talk about on our podcast how things transform, like the meaning of them or the way they're applied transform. So life is a lot more flexible than I think we think it is. Also, to the question about the opposite of performing, I think there's another way to look at it, kind of like a remedy or antidote to that performing. Sometimes when we perform, it's because there's a persona that we want to give off, and the solution is to actually become more like that person. So what I mean by that is, if you notice that somebody always gets to work on time, somebody does their work very well, you really admire who they are, how they interact with people. Well, some of the steps toward reaching that, not pretending to be like them, but actually taking on those habits, would be to remain teachable. Study your craft. You're not going to move with ease in a particular profession until you study it. It's just not going to happen. You could be the most charismatic person in the world, but if you don't know your stuff, if you're not confident and you don't have expertise, it doesn't matter. You're just charismatically blowing hot air. So I think that there are different things that we can put into place where instead of saying, I'm going to pretend like I'm like you to get the attention that you get, I can actually study you. We talked last time on the podcast about how people who are influencers or people who you admire can also sometimes be more approachable than you think, but you have to put your ego aside and stop like hating on them long enough to have a conversation with them. So I think that just being teachable, studying your craft, also developing consistency. That's how you turn a one-off into a habit. Going back to the music industry with Cardi B, how many one-hit wonders do we know? We're like, this is awesome. But it's like, you can't always have a full moon and the tide over here and all these different variables in place. This has to be you. Like, this has to be who you are in order for you to produce hit after hit after hit. And in life, in work, and parenting, it's the same thing. So if you want to be more patient, for example, practice that on a consistent basis. Train yourself when you want to be impatient to take a second and correct the course that you're on so that that behavior can eventually become a habit and can eventually become a part of your character. So I think just becoming more of what you like is a possibility. And I think that it's good to draw from other people so long as you don't try to pretend you're not who you are in the process. So did you have a take on that, Brooke?
I like that you bring up that you brought up authenticity. Authenticity is very important. But once again, it's just, it's another word for being true to you and, being authentic and embracing your unique qualities. One thing that I've brought to the table in my business is I don't know everything. And I have no problem telling my client if I know it or not. And my clients have entrusted me by saying, you know what, Brooke? Number one, thank you for telling me that you might not know it all. Number two, thank you for doing the research for me to figure it out. And because a lot of times my answer might be, I don't know, but I'll find out for you. And it's not me trying to push it to the side and say, oh, I don't know, I don't want to do it. No, but I don't know at this moment. But what I will do is I will dedicate my time to research and figure it out for you so that way you can be progressive or you can be productive in this area. And, some people don't appreciate that. Some people do appreciate that and some people don't. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And I just believe that the one thing that I always like to bring to the table is I'm human. I'm human just like you're human. I make mistakes just like you make mistakes. And like it or leave it. Like, honestly, truth be told, hate it or love it. Like, it is what it is. Because I'm going to respect somebody who's going to be 1,001% honest versus that person is going to be like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm perfect. I always do it right. I never make mistakes. Because that's not true. The best of the best make mistakes. So, I think that what I really want us to get out of this episode is be comfortable in who you are. Be comfortable in your flaws. Be comfortable in what you're able to bring to the table. Be comfortable in saying, I might not know that, but give me 24 hours and I'll learn it. And that is not a bad thing. I know me personally, I'll respect someone a million more than I would respect someone who says, oh, I know it, and they don't know crap. Because I'd rather somebody tell me that they're going to learn or they're going to work or they're going to bust their butt to help me instead of somebody lying to me. to get my business or to reel me in or to, close the deal or whatever. And I don't believe that, like, I don't believe lying or misrepresenting yourself or performing is going, like I said, it's going to be a short-term benefit. I mean, a long-term benefit. It's going to be a short-term benefit. That lie might close you that business for 1 year, but it's not going to close you that business for 10 consecutive years. And it's funny because today I looked at my financials, and I think it was like 2014, and I might have had like 5 to 10 clients. And I think that was one of the times that I really started kind of saying, okay, I'm going to take on clients. Clients started coming to me, though, in 2000, okay? And they just kind of stuck with me. Now, I don't know if everybody was on that list as far as like my active clients, but my client list was short. It was 10, maybe 20 people, if that. And I just look at now, here I am, 2022. I probably will have 100 clients this year, or somewhere between 60 and 100 clients, or 80 and 100 clients. And this is just tax clients. This is not even bookkeeping. But I built that business by being honest and being true. And no matter what, when I made those mistakes, fixing them quickly, fixing them swiftly, responding and making sure that even though I made a mistake, let me fix it really quick. Let me stop what I'm doing because you matter more to me. You're my client, you matter to me. So I'm going to fix this. Even if I have to pay to fix it, I'm going to fix it. And that's what I'm going to do because I'm always going to bring my true self to the table. And I believe that's what makes you profitable. That's what makes you productive. And that's what makes you successful.
Like, we can just drop the mic right there, because what was that? She had a whole church service up in here. I love it. Yeah. I love it. And, of course, I have to be the one with the ratchet examples. But if you have ever had a new hairstylist send them a picture and said, can you do this hairstyle? They said, yes. Brooke is laughing right now off screen because she knows where I'm going. She knows where I'm going with this. They only do braids, bruh. You do braids. That's all I see on your page. But they so where before God that they could do. You just pay me, bring the hair, I got you, and you leave. I mean, if you've been online for any measure of time, you've seen the videos of countless people just hair up here, just lace front, no front. Okay, so just don't be that person, okay? Don't be that person in your business. Even if it's not hair, you got people's finances jacked up because you saw one YouTube video for 30 seconds and now you a pro. So just saying it.
That's the vibe. That's the vibe. Oh my goodness. Trust, I hear all the shenanigans daily. Okay, when I say daily, especially being a financial professional and being 30 plus years in this game. I hear them daily, and I'm like, look, don't do it. Don't do it. We were actually, and this is sidebar. We're going to close the show in a moment, but we were going to talk about PPP loans, and I took the PPP loans episode out because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Okay? You know how many people came to me for PPP loans? I would not do them for them at all. I had zero interest. I let them know what the clause was in the loan that said that 75% of that loan had to go through a payroll system. And I asked them if they were planning on setting up a payroll system, and most people were not. So this is another thing about the performance and just doing things just cause you think you're going to benefit from them. And it might benefit quickly, but it's going to come back around, baby. So I mean, I guess I just want to end this episode by saying, be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Be authentic to yourself. Don't do things for a quick benefit. Don't do things for a quick payout. Everything always comes around. What goes around comes around. What we reap is what we sow. I mean, how many more verses do you want to hear about it? It just doesn't fly. It doesn't fly, and business is hard, and it does take a lot of hard work, but the hard work is worth it. And when you put in that time and you put in that hard work, I promise you will get benefits out. Imani, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, we're gonna close. I feel like we can crack jokes all this whole episode. So yeah, so I think a really great call to action, going back to that humility, putting our pride, ego aside, would be to identify some of the things that you love, some of the things you've been trying to emulate when you perform. Are you trying to seem like you have more energy than you do? I mean, how can you get more rest? How can you free up your time? How can you delegate tasks that maybe you don't have to do? How can you actually put a plan in place to eventually have more energy in your reserve tank? And are there other characteristics that you love about certain people, about certain businesses, about whoever else, that you can do the work to see in your own life? So identifying those things that you like, and then identifying how you can create more of that. Any other call to action you'd like to include there, Brooke?
Nope. Nope. We're going to bring this episode to a close, and wishing all of you beautiful angels a blessed and productive week.
Remember, you will get through this valley too.
Guidance given during this program are only reflections of our personal experience and is not a substitute for professional advice. Change is
not hateful, I'm playful, cause he got me. He called me his angel. I'm flying to heaven. Just know that he sent me from heaven to flex you.